Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar on the topic how to evaluate the right HR tech for your organization. Okay, let's get started. Uh, Warm welcome to everyone who joined us today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all here with us for the webinar titled How to Evaluate the Right HR Tech for Your Organization. Right, it's that time of the year when most of the HR professionals are looking at their tech stack, right, from an HR perspective. So there couldn't be a better time than this to really take advice from the best of the best out here on the panel. My name is Pulkit Joshi, Head of Marketing at HR1, and I'm thrilled to guide you through today's session. Today, we'll explore the strategic importance of HR tech in fiscal planning, gain expert insights into evaluating HR tech solutions, and of course, there will be actionable takeaways that you'll take home from the expert panel that we have here. This interactive session will feature live Q&A and insights that will help you align HR technology with your organizational goals. With that, let me introduce you to our esteemed panel of speakers who bring in a wealth of expertise and valuable perspectives to today's discussion. Starting off with Mr. Prasanjeet Mukherjee, CHRO at SRK Consulting Group. A dynamic CHRO with nearly 2 decades of experience across industries such as IT, healthcare, market research, and BPO. Prasanjeet has spearheaded transformational initiatives recognized by platforms like the Economic Times and Deloitte's Technology Fast 50. He excels in driving global expansion, optimizing costs, and developing high impact HR strategies. Next, we have Ms. Aparna C, CHRO, Tony Harris Integration Solutions, an accomplished HR leader with over 24 years of experience in human capital transformation, culture building, and operational excellence. Aparna has consistently driven organizational effectiveness, built positive work environments, and delivered results aligned with business goals. Next, I would introduce you to Mr. Vishal Nagda, Chief People Officer at Gera Developments. With over 20 years of diverse HR experience, Vishal has led Gera Developments to rank among the top 100 best companies to work for 5 consecutive years. And continuous learning advocate, he has also built one of the largest HR communities on LinkedIn with over 5 lakh members globally. Lastly, I would want to introduce you to Mr. Shailesh Banet, Global CHRO at Cybernetic, an award-winning CHRO with 18 plus years of global experience in talent management, DEI, and HR technology. He has been recognized as the CHRO of the year 2024 and has driven many organizational transformation and embedded sustainability projects for his companies that he has worked for. A very warm welcome to all the panelists out here. Thank you for taking out time and interacting with our audience. Some housekeeping notes for today before we begin. Please feel free to raise your hands to ask questions. And when I say hands, I'm talking about the icon that you can see on your webinar panel on Microsoft Teams. We'll unmute you for a direct interaction with our panelists after you do that. The session will be recorded and we will share with the replay with you for future reference. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy the conversation, right? So let's get started. We are going to start off with 2 pillars, right? One is strategic importance of HR tech in financial year planning, and then we'll look at expert insights on HR tech evaluation. So our first question for our panelists is, and probably I can start with Aparna first with you. According to you, what are the top business objectives HR tech should support to drive organizational success?
Thank you, Pulkit, and it's a pleasure to be here and, especially among all the esteemed panelists. And I'm sure it's going to be a learning journey for me as well, along with, the entire folks who have joined in. So I think, thank you so much for starting the question with me. And I think what you're asking is such a relevant question today, right? End of the day, we can't have a technology just for the sake of just running it. It has to be more from what the business is also looking for. The business goals has to be clearly embedded. There are no two ways about it. So I think it could be as simple as I think the first technology tool that we all started was it could be as simple as a recruitment. But we always had to see what was it that we were trying to achieve, right? Is it shorter time frame? Is it better screening? Or things like that. So I think from that perspective, very clearly you need to see what is the end outcome that we want to showcase to the business. I think that's primarily the way I would look at it.
Great. Thanks for that perspective. Next, I'll go to Prasanjeet. Prasanjeet, your thoughts on this?
Thanks, Pulkit. So, very quickly, I think whenever we choose an HR tech solution, any kind of HR transformation, very important to understand whether it would align to the business, number one. Second is very importantly, whether it aligns with the long-term goal, because we always try to achieve the short-term goals primarily. But decision making cannot happen on a short term goal. It has to be a long term goal. What is that as an organization we would like to achieve? Now, HR or neither HR tech is not neither an administration kind of a role we all know. It's a strategic way of dealing things, and how do you enable, empower, and scale the organizations to the different level. So decision making should also involve end users, which is employees, managers, IT teams. Importantly, when you do this, when you take a complete overhaul approach, which is aligning with your business goals, which aligns with your what you would like to achieve as a business, as a strategy to empower or grow as a company, as your business or your next set of, be it your business focus or revenue focus. Then you can, of course, use the HR tech or change HR tech. You can use the change management also to adopt what is new and to probably see how do you balance the existing ones. I think it is very important whenever you would like to choose something as far as technology or HR technology is concerned, business relevance, and when you scale, when you grow, whether it aligns with the scaling or the growth that you would like to achieve. Okay. And third is the user friendliness is also very important, right? For that,
Hmm.
you create a cross-function team and take the inputs from them such that you get a comprehensive input. These three things, I think, it should be the base pillar. We should start looking at it. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So, business alignment, ability to scale up, right? And then third is usability of the HR tech stack that one is trying to build. Thank you. I'm going to come next to you, Vishal, for your inputs. What, according to you, would be the top objectives that HR tech should support?
Thanks, Pulkit. So I'm going to pick up from where Aparna and Prasanjeet have left, and I'm not going to kind of repeat those points again.
Sure.
We try to bring a different perspective uh, to the whole discussion. So if you ask me in terms of business objectives for HR technology, right? One important thing which I have always believed in is that whatever tech stack you have, A, should be able to kind of speak to all the other softwares or tools which you have within the organization in one manner or the other, right? And B, it should be able to help you build data-driven decision making, right? So, organizations have a Salesforce, you have some other software or something else, tracking performance in some other part, right? How do we kind of align all of that together to a
Hmm.
common business objective? So, now with more and more integrations happening, it is possible that, I can put a goal in my HRMS that this needs to be tracked, and I can get real-time updates from the relevant softwares which each of the departments is using on a real time, on a periodic basis, for me to be able to see whether, my employees are performing to the level which the business is expecting. So, it is one way of tying HR technology back and, building a strategy where all these different tools talk to each other and you're driving performance. In the end, it will help you drive the business in a particular direction, right? The second thing, which is interestingly becoming very important now, that there are a lot of satellite kind of apps which are being developed on the top of the existing HRMS tools. So Prasanjit did touch upon something that, keep the user interface kind of simple, and, not too complicated, right? But the HR technology space in the last 5, 7 years has kind of exploded, right? You have micro apps coming in for each smaller thing which HR does. You know,
Hmm.
to the smallest level of there is an interview scheduling app available separately, right?
Hmm.
It only does interview scheduling. There is something which will only do a chatbot, but that does only this much part of it, right? I have something else which does only surveys, right? So while it is very tempting because a lot of these come at lower price points, right? In the end, the user experience and what ROI are you going to derive out of it will form a part of my strategy when I'm going to decide, whether what kind of HR technology do I use. And third thing which comes on top of my mind in terms of how HR tech will support the business strategy is again, uh, if your goals are clear, like Aparna mentioned at the start of the year, why are you investing in HR tech? What is the output which you need from it, and all the leaders are aligned to it. Then there is always a better output from your HR tech. Okay. And a lot of HR tools fail because of adoption. Okay. I have a recruitment tool, but my managers don't use it to put the feedback in. Okay. I have AI enabled, but there are people in my HR team who do not know how to use that AI to screen the resumes better or to find internal profiles for succession planning or mobility. Right. So adoption is something which can only be driven if this is on top of your leadership agenda across the organization and not just for HR, that this is how the HR tech is going to help the organization. So when all of it help you drive it, that is where you will see real wonders from the HR technology that we use.
Great. Thanks, Vishal, for adding on to what Aparna and Prasenjit had to say, right? So, if I were to summarize it, looking at it from an integration perspective, uh, ensuring that one is able to really derive some awesome decisions at the back of whatever data it shows up, and then looking at the micro apps, right? Sort of breaking down the value chain and looking at how HR tech can support those micro processes. And of course, bringing the entire team together to really make it happen. Awesome. Thank you for those perspectives. I'm now going to come to Shailesh. Shailesh would love to know your perspective.
Yeah. So from my perspective, specifically, why we want the HR tech, why we would like to introduce that into the system. So specifically, there are too many mundane jobs what HR people are doing on a regular basis, and doing these transactional things. The way the your workforce increases, the headcount is growing. What happens is like HR is like going away from the main core area to like fulfill those transactional jobs. So whenever you are introducing the HR tech, you have to see that the main objective is obviously you would like to have some paperless things. You also want people to have some automated solution, and it will be more process oriented rather than the people oriented thing. But also as an HR leader, you need to see that your HR team is getting more time to interact with people. So rather than doing the job of like creating offer letters or managing the leaves and attendance and then working on the payroll where the calculations and everything where your manual intervention is pretty high. Due to that, when somebody needs you, you are stuck. You are busy. Your status is always either busy or is do not disturb, and that's how we are losing the touch where HR needs to be with people. We are working for them, but without having that kind of a connect. So that should be the main focus, that we want to reduce that, and we want to ensure that we are working and focusing more on the strategic aspects, understanding the broader picture, the bigger picture of how business is working, how you are helping people to achieve their goals when they are working for the business. So that is one part what we need to understand. And while choosing the HR tech, we have to see that this technology should not become a burden, that you have too many systems, those systems are not talking to each other, or having a system which is which will provide you an end-to-end solution, so that the data flow is happening in a smooth manner.
Hmm.
So that way it will be helpful for us. And accordingly, whenever the analytics is needs to be driven, whenever any data based decision needs to be made, that time you should have everything available on one click, rather than collecting data from multiple apps, and then you're collecting that. So that kind of a thing you need to consider when you are doing it. So the why
Hmm.
should
Hmm.
be very clear to the top level, that why they are doing it. The stakeholders who are involved in this, they should be onboarded before we choose the system. And while we are integrating system, or we are implementing it, they should get the proper they should not be like a end user all the time, but they should be like a contributors, so that the automation becomes more successful. Because then you have everybody, and then everybody has a shared responsibility of making that system successful.
Great, great. So in your opinion, I think the missing part was, what's the why, right? So like they say, start with
Yeah.
your why. And of course, the second part was making sure that, uh, whatever we deploy, at the end of the day, cuts down the transactional, the manual stuff that is a huge pain point for all the HR leaders. Thanks, Shailesh. Uh, uh, the second perspective that we are going to pick here, right? And it kind of relates to Shailesh, what you just said, start with your why. So I've seen a lot of HR leaders when asked about, what's their why, the first thing that sometimes they say is employee experience, right? So let's look at HR tech from an employee experience perspective. And I'm going to come to you, Vishal, for this question first. In your opinion, how does HR tech influence employee experience? And second part is, what should companies prioritize while selecting tools in view of EX?
Okay, so I'll answer the first question first.
Please.
Employee experience is a very vital part, because uh, let's say the HRMS is going to be used by 98% people who are the end users, the employees. Only 2% of the HRMS is going to be the HR admin users, right? So, and the output which you're going to derive from the tool is also if the employees use it, and to what extent the employees use it the way you want them to use the tool. Okay, you can keep doing your basic recruitment or backend PMS process on the tool on your own if you want, or a salary processing. But from an overall employee experience point of view, there are uh, so many things which the employee looks forward to. One is ease of use. Okay, clutter-free kind of interface, right? I should be able to find what I want very easily. uh, People are used to notifications for things which they want to do. So, does the tool provide that kind of reminders which are nudges to them for them to complete their tasks? Okay. Is my employee experience replicable across devices? So whether I'm on my laptop, my desktop, or a mobile tool application, okay, are they having a seamless integration or a experience across the different devices? Right? Are they able to get all the answers what they want from the HR from that one particular tool which they are going to? Okay, and if possible, we create a kind of a hub. Okay, where all the satellite systems are also parked at one place. All of them are aligned with a single sign-on and integrated with each other, so that my employee does not have to remember multiple passwords. Okay, and that's a real turn off for an employee if they have to log into different apps, different passwords, and remember things like that. Right. So if you're able to create something which is a hub for all of this to sit together at one place, it becomes very easy from an employee experience point of view. So employee right now is demanding, right here, right now, whatever information I want, it should be available to me. today, and it is instant. Whether it is a reward or a recognition, they want it all to happen instant on the go, right? Whether it is a salary slip, they don't want to wait, erase a ticket, send a mail to someone, then I'll get it. So a lot of self-service options is what the employee is looking for. Okay, we are internally building something at Gera, which is a tool, AI-based tool to ask questions to your policies and also to ask questions to your SOPs, right? So employee just asks, how do I do this? And it will skim through all the different policies, all the different SOPs and tell you, this is the process to do this over here. So convenience is what the employee wants. Information is what the employee wants. And being reminded is what they've got used to, and those are the things which I would look at when I am trying to put together a piece of HRMS from an employee front end point of view.
Great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Vishal. Usability and convenience. I think those were the two key takeaways. I'm now going to come to you, Aparna. Your views on this question, please.
Um, I think Vishal covered the two parts, right? The employee experience and convenience and all of it. So here is where I would also say, what about scalability? Right? We also need to look at from a scalability perspective. And I think at times what I've seen in some of these technologies, right, is they have a fantastic, flashy UI, UX design. And that kind of, hides the fact saying, what what is the end outcome? What are we looking? That's one, right? So focus more on the outcomes rather than a flashy feature. And I think the other thing that I could think of is how difficult is the integration with what we have.
Hmm.
Because after having worked so many years in the industries and from looking at all the tools that we have had so far, some of them, I mean, as I think I would say as recent as last 1.5, 2 years when I was working on seeing how we could get one of the tools without naming them. Trust me, the integration was far more difficult.
Hmm.
And I was just thinking, if the integration is so difficult, what is my experience going to be? Because see, end of the day, even HR are employees. While we are
Yeah.
just bare minimum, less than 1% of, compared to the employees, but we are also an employee and it should be easy for us. So that's, what a few things that I could think of.
Okay. Awesome. I truly agree with you. The last statement was really awesome. If it's unable to, we are unable to integrate it, then it does show up, what lies ahead. Thanks for that, Aparna. Prasanjeet, your views on this, please. Employee experience and
Yeah, I
HR tech.
think all of them has covered most of the points, Vishal and Aparna. I don't have much to add, but I would stress on two things. One is that simplifications are extremely important. Simplify as much as possible. Now think of a person who is joining a company as a new joinee, and I think Vishal has touched upon. And then there is a complexity on the system, right? Let alone UI UX part. I'm not touching that. But simplicity is missing. And you know what happened that from morning to evening, the first day, it is so tied up, right? Documentations, onboarding, processes, inductions, discussions, and then HRMS, right? So what happened? It's an overhaul. I mean, you get tired of doing it. Now we need to put ourselves in their shoes and think about it. How do you make the processes simple? And that is what the functionality of HR Tech should bring in. Second is that business can think of in a east direction where we are sitting as HR as a west direction. There is always a stark difference of what business thinks and what we do most of the time. Now, the idea of aligning ourselves to business means business needs the customizations a lot, right? That, okay, we need this. Can you blend it? I'm not even touching customization, but will you be able to blend it? This is our requirement. Will you be able to? Now, HR Tech can play a great role there. to customize the system as per the exact business need, as per the company's kind of work system. Like we are a GCC company, and we have GCC enabling organization. In our company, we always reach out to multiple HR system because it's more of client driven when it comes to the platforms, right? So when the business that we are helping scaling now, and we give them the choice that, okay, choose three out of the rest. We have already done the market research and all of that. We have already done the strategy making. But what happened is that our endeavor was always that, okay, make it simple. See what is the tool that helps you to customize, because you are putting up your business, you are starting up. There are a lot of customizations are required. Now, the another angle is that many HRMS platform or HR tech platform work on a very standard APIs or integrational format, right? They would not be able to do customization. That is the reason organizations have started creating their own user interface, their own software, if you really look at it, right?
Hmm.
To ensure the customization that could not happen at a HR tech standard platform could happen, because we can't let go business,
Hmm.
right? Because that is very important. We have to really help achieve the goals of the business. Now build something internally and align the goals with the company, because the systems that we have checked in HR Tech is actually not matching, right? That
Hmm.
is why every company is trying to have few of the, system in their own, right? To match
Hmm.
that practice. If we can bridge that gap as an HR Tech, I think it's a win-win situation, both as a
Hmm.
partner, both as a company.
Okay. Okay. Great insights again there on simplification and bringing in granularity through customization. Thanks, Prasanjeet. Vishal, sorry, I'm coming to you again. Last in the order, but I'll make up for that. But your views on this, please.
I think I spoke. Shailesh is here to speak on this one.
Hey, I'm so very sorry, Shailesh. Sorry, that's a question for you. Apologies.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. No worries. So, when we are talking about the employee experience part, what I feel that when we are using the HR tech, specifically the problems what users are facing is like they have raised certain requests, and even if as an HR you are working or as an admin team something is happening on that, people don't get the regular updates that what exactly is happening with their request. So if we have these kind of say simple things what they want from the technology perspective is that whether their life is becoming easy, or maybe somewhere they were looking for that information and where somebody else needs to be involved in that, how you are going to eliminate that. So, if you are raising a request where that request is there right now in the system, is it like in a first or second, if the multiple approvers are involved in that system, how you will be able to keep the person updated on that? So, as an say end user, they have very like simple kind of an expectation. You might be doing so many things, and it's like a huge, wonderful system for you as an HR, but as an end user there are very less expectation what they have. So if the information is available on tip of their fingerprint sorry finger, and it will be easy for them to access it. They don't have to be dependent on somebody that somebody will email them and somebody will give them that information. As a manager, if I would like to see how many leaves my team members have taken, how many leaves are planned in such a way so that my project planning can happen in a better way. So making these things easily available through your technology will be very helpful for them, so that their day-to-day life becomes easy. And also, if you can give them the better analysis about the cost, about the as I have already said, about the leaves, about the experience, when we are talking about PMS, giving them their ratings and all. If we are also checking the employee morale, their mood meter is what we normally call it. So if we are giving this kind of an information and analysis readily available, then it becomes very easy for managers or department heads to understand and to plan their strategies accordingly. And as an end user, when we try to see all these things, and they are pretty easy to access. Single sign-on is what I think Vishal has already spoken about it, which actually creates a better experience, whether it is on a mobile or you are having it on your laptop. Everything is in sync. Multiple locations are there, and if you are traveling to multiple locations, still there is no problem with your biometric or login for your maybe getting the access to the information and all. When all these things come in sync, it becomes an ecosystem. And
Mm.
when this ecosystem is running smoothly, then the user experience, you don't have to do anything, it automatically lifted.
Mm.
And they would like to be a part of that technology, because it is making their life easy rather than creating too many hurdles for them to be a part of that ecosystem.
Okay, great, great, Shailesh. Thanks for that. So,
Pulkit,
we have,
just a moment.
yeah,
Sorry, I
please,
just
please,
want to add. Okay,
please go ahead.
just had a thought in my mind on what Shailesh said. You know, any technology, any tool, if you want to sell it to someone, okay, you have to give them what's in it for me. Whether it is a
Yeah.
business leaders, they have to see value out of it, or whether it is an employee, the employee has to see value. Okay, bhai, how is my life getting easier or better from this tool? So if we look at these two very simple things, making life easier or making their work better, if you look at these two things, you will definitely end up creating a better experience for whoever is using the tool. It could be an employee, a manager, an HOD, or an HR person. Even for the HR person, the life has to become simpler. I have consciously kept some of my recruitment processes out because it doesn't make sense. It is lengthier inside the system than it is, outside. So, sometimes you may decide to skip something as well, but you have to ensure that, the end user is happy with what they are getting. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Just couldn't
No, no.
stop myself.
No, no, thanks for that validation. Again, great point there. So we have spoken about the business objectives. We have spoken about employee experience. Now let's talk about things that can go wrong, right? Which is often the case, right? So I'm going to come to you first, Shailesh, for this, right? If all our esteemed four panelists can talk about one pitfall in from their experience, which organizations face while they evaluate HR tech, right? And then what it takes to avoid them, right? So would love to know one pitfall from each of the panelists. So we can start off with Shailesh first.
Okay. So, the pitfall, what I feel that we don't want to become a part of the race just because everybody else is doing it. What I always feel that when your technology should come in and solve the problems what business and the people are facing right now, rather than just because everybody is doing it. That's why I also want an HRMS. I also want some kind of an AI tools. That doesn't make sense. What I feel that the major mistake what we do is like, rather than understanding what our requirements are and where the system what I'm going to select should be able to answer most of them. One thing we have to understand that any system is not there which can answer all the questions, or which is like 100% foolproof for you, that it will be a plug and play kind of a thing. You have to actually invest on that. So you have to understand that what limitations are going to be there, what are my major requirements are getting out of 10, if I'm getting like 7 8 are getting resolved. So that kind of an situation you should actually bring yourself in, so that while selecting any technology for your organization, it will be easy for you, and it will be more aligned with the business, to ensure that it is reducing the workload and it is creating more bandwidth, so that which can be spent on connecting with people, creating more business opportunities, or delivering the better customer experience to ensure that your business is growing.
Great, great. So don't follow the rat race, right? Make sure
Yeah.
that one understands the business requirements very clearly, because every organization is different, every employee is different, right? So one needs to do a lot of thinking. Thanks, Shailesh. Aparna, your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can think of so many
Yes,
pitfalls
please.
that, we can look for, right? But then having said that, what I'm so a couple of things that come into my mind, right? One, of course, we've already spoken, neglecting employee experience. And I think more than anything, this is what I was thinking. Are we communicating enough that this is what we're planning to do to the employees, right? Because it's a change management when you're looking at a new HR tech or whatever.
Hmm.
How are we taking their feedback,
Hmm.
from that perspective? So, that's one thing that strikes me. It's not just all of only in HR team, right? And of course the leadership has to buy in. There are no two ways about it. But at times I think it's also good to get the employees' perspective. I'm not saying we should take everybody. Maybe have a community, or maybe just have a few folks who can be your influencers to make sure this is successful.
Hmm.
Like how
Hmm.
today we have Instagram says you can be an influencer. I think we need to have employee influencers. That's what.
Very true. Very true. So I think somewhere down the line you are hinting that anything that gets done has to be adopted, right? Which takes a lot
Yes.
of
So,
uh,
that's
yeah,
what, right? Not
yeah,
just you don't get a tool. Like, for example, even we at Tory Harris do, build a few tools, but then adoption is one. But making sure it's implemented for 100% is also something that we need to look at.
very true. Very true. Thanks for
So,
sharing that. Vishal, over to you. Your thoughts, please.
Okay. Uh, One very important aspect, in my experience, I've done multiple HR implementations across organizations, right? Uh, Something which we tend to undermine is knowing or first evaluating what is the maturity of the HR processes in the organization right now. Okay, there are tools available at different ends of the spectrum. Basic HRMS tools are available, very advanced ones are available, right? And sometimes you may be presented with a budget which is high enough for you to pick up an advanced tool. But if your base is not clear, okay, and when I say base, one is your employee data has to be in a very structured manner. You need to have your org structure defined, your positions defined, your jobs defined in a manner that you can derive some value out of that. Your HR policies have to be defined in a manner that they can be converted into a workflow when you're using a system. So those are very, very hygiene factors. But unless you determine for yourself what is the maturity of my HR process without this system being there, and what is the value add that the system is going to bring in, a lot of modules of the HR systems go unused because अरे अभी ये तो करना बाकी है, this is still pending.
Hmm.
For this we need to first do this for 1 year in the company, then we will be able to derive value out of that particular module, right?
Hmm.
So you've already invested in something which you're not ready to use. So for me
Hmm.
that is a pitfall which can definitely be avoided while HR does some introspection for themselves, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
second thing is to also understand, I'm picking up from one of the previous conversations, that you need to pick a system which is highly customizable and configurable, because business scenarios are very dynamic these days. Okay, complete org structures can change. With a leadership change, complete way you have policies could turn around, from work from home to work from office in one day. One mail comes and you need to switch everything around, right?
Hmm.
So is the tool capable enough and configurable enough that if I get certain decisions, and I want to change the way I'm doing things, can it be easily done?
Hmm.
And the third thing which we don't look at is some of the tools can become so complex that you actually need to be trained and certified before you start using them.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's like a white elephant sitting in the room. You need to first have somebody who's trained, a separate resource who is doing only HR technology or HRMS, right? And everything goes to that person without the HR team knowing what are the in-depth features of that particular software and trying to derive value out of it. So then the HR team is only doing, हमको इतना समझाया गया, हम इतना, we are using it this much. Right, they are not actually understanding the inherent value of the system which is in front of them, because the system itself is so complex that you need an expert only for one module, the larger systems which are in place, right? So they will have a specialist for the EC module, the employee module, some specialist doing only PMGM inside that and stuff like that, right? And then if you don't know what the system has to offer, you will never be able to derive maximum value out of it. So your bosses are going to ask you for ROI, and your ROI will suffer if you fall into these pitfalls. So that is my
Hmm.
2 bits on this.
Thanks, Vishal. Very valid point. Something that I have not heard much about, but thank you for that. HR process maturity is extremely crucial. Prasanjeet, coming to you, your thoughts, please.
Again, all of them has covered most of the points,
Yeah.
but let me put it. I can think of this a little differently. So, when we say mistakes or pitfalls, so very importantly, um, and I'll try to put it in pointers. Focus on strategies, then features. Okay. Flashy features doesn't bring you the solution you're looking at. Focus on simplicity. Stakeholder inputs are extremely important. Lack of it can, can help you taking a wrong decision. But then, if you work in a company where you have 5 to 10 stakeholders of decision makers, everyone will have different thought process. So how do you balance it and ensure that all of them come to a common goal is also very important. That's why it becomes very crucial or critical for a CHRO life to make that balance happen, ensuring the stakeholders are all agreed to a common goal. The moment it is not there, you have to step back and do what you're doing rather than jumping on a new gun. That is not advisable. So stakeholder input, very important, because everything comes from the top. It cannot drives from HR. It has to be from the top. So be it HR tech, be it culture, be it everything. Okay.
Great.
Encourage and empower change management. We should always encourage learning new technology, learning, adopting new things, AI driven tools. And I'm not saying we should overboard it, but learning is very important. Until and unless we encourage or empower change management, then probably we are not helping ourselves to learn what we can do better when we scale up. There was a beautiful pointer that I heard from in LinkedIn yesterday only, that when we are scaling, we are slowing down. Actually, it's the opposite. When we are scaling, we should not be slow down. We should always try and adapt and see how we can do things better. Okay. So scalability is very, very important, right? So one should have a clear strategy. One should set a cross-function team to understand what are the various nuances. Uh, should have the board should be in sync of it. If it's not, then it is better to step back and see what are the things that we can improve and go forward to it, right? Change management I talked about. So I think these all things are very important to create a foolproof HR ecosystem, at least to start off it. If we are unable to do these pointers, then comes the next level, right? Whether how HR team would adopt it, how they would use it and all of that. But these baselines are extremely important for one company to decide. That is why
Hmm.
we come across many organizations, but we could not take a call as an organization to go
Hmm.
with a new platform.
Hmm.
Okay. And this is not just HR Tech, this is across all different partners that we work with. And every day, I think HR heads are the one who get 100 emails and 500 emails on their email box about new systems, new platform, new things to, kind of review and then implement. But that implementation has to match the criteria that we just spoke about. So these things are very important. Relevance, relevance, and relevance, or else we'll all fall back. That's very, I would like to stress on that. Yeah.
Okay, very well summed up there, Prasanjit. Uh, Last set of questions for all our speakers from my side, right? Of course, we'll open the floor for questions from the audience, and I'm sure this would get a lot of interest and intrigue from the audience. And we're going to be talking about AI, right? Uh, but I also want to make sure that we don't, leave too little time for our speakers. So my request to speakers, to panelists is that, we keep it short, right? But would love to know your perspective. I'm going to come to you, Vishal, first. In your opinion, how can organizations integrate new AI-driven tools with their existing systems, right? There's so many of them, and it could be a very difficult decision to make. So your thoughts on this, please.
My thoughts, let me put it that way. Let people learn how to use AI first and then try to integrate it. Simple.
Okay.
Absolutely, Vishal. Perfect. We need to first use it well, learn what can be used before we even implement it. And
Implement it and try to integrate it into my HRMS, right?
So,
So that's
maybe we can have all the leaders, opine here. But when we say that, we have to let people learn AI, right? So, from an HR vantage point, do you think the buck stops at the HR that they should sort of upskill or reskill their employees and drive social programs around what it takes to learn AI and all that?
of
yeah,
course,
definitely. Uh, Look, Pulkit, two ways to look. So two parts to it. One is using AI within the HR
Hmm.
MS or just for the employee experience on the HR side, right? There's also a larger game at play where AI is getting integrated into all other business processes as well,
Hmm.
right? So talking about AI just for HR wouldn't be fine because at an enterprise level you may be having an AI tool which you may bring in, which may need to talk to the HRMS as well. So that integration, if it happens at org level, it's a very different question altogether. Uh,
Hmm.
Coming back to your other question is a lot of HR softwares are themselves adding AI features to the tools which they already have, right? So
Right.
in a smaller way, AI has already found its way, let's say from resume screening to employee sentiment analysis. Some tools are able to do that from what is happening and stuff like that. So some amount of it is things which we have been using for a while now. Okay, and I would rather have people use that better before we add on more AI tools within the HR. So, good to have, but get the use cases in place, try it outside your main HRMS, and then try to integrate it was what I would say.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Uh, Prasanjit, your thoughts on this, please.
I think very valid point what Vishal has shared that, you know, learning is important. Okay, very much important. But while you are pushing for learning and AI and all of that tool, understanding how much of your team, internal team, what the people that you want them to learn is capable uh, or competent enough to learn those tools are also very important. So I think it's a slow and steady approach. I would try to do that because there are so many AI tools, there are so many content about it. There are so many learning mechanism about artificial intelligence and machine learning. One could easily get, kind of dwell into it. They
Hmm.
would not know what to learn, what not, and that would bring a lot of confusion. And they
Hmm.
would learn something which is absolutely out of the context. I think, and especially at a mid-junior or a junior level, they go with the flow. Okay. Some influencer will write on LinkedIn that learn this and everyone will jump on it. I
Hmm.
am more worried there, right?
Hmm.
The right advice, the right approach, who will do? I think we should also, I mean, I always say that HR should take that lead role of advising, guiding, and mentoring, because we have seen the world and now we should share all those things. But having
Hmm.
said that, uh, it is important that continuously inform the internal people, the team member, whatever team member, the project team or HR team, educate them that, okay, if you want to learn this, these are the curated courses. Go and study, go your learning mechanism, understand and look at always the optimum results. So what have you learned? How are you going to implement? What would be the outcome of it? Write it down and let's have an assessment to it. Until unless you are really doing that assessment of learning programs into artificial intelligence, people will learn a lot.
Hmm.
Implementation will be near to zero. Outcome to bhuli jao.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this is how
Hmm.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Prasanjeet. Shailesh, your views?
So I'll keep it very short. What I will suggest that when we are talking about AI, actually introduce AI where it is actually required. Just because it's a like a buzzword which is becoming nowadays, don't get into it, because AI is not like an somewhere it's like a genie which will like fulfill all your wishes. As Vishal rightly said, you actually need to know, even if you are using ChatGPT, you actually have to learn what kind of prompt you need to give. So it becomes an overhead. So AI wherever it is required, like, and which will actually get implemented, or it will blend with your existing system, go ahead with that. And somewhere where it is actually required, then actually you have to put efforts and ensure that AI is coming seamlessly in the system, rather than just again having something which, because everybody is doing it, you are also following that path, and again creating problems for yourself.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Aparna, I know you had made your point very clear, but would still to love to have some closing comments from you before we open
Sure.
the floor for.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's such a pleasure to hear everybody, and I think all of us are on similar lines of what we think and stuff like that. So here is what I would strongly recommend. Make sure the entire HR team understands or goes through an entire Gen AI or whatever it is about AI. Let them go through a training program to even understand, because it's not just one where to use it, but it's also understand how to use the tool, right? Like, has all of them have pointed it out. It's we need to know when to use it and how to use it, and you can't just copy paste it. You need to see how to even tweak it to make sure it works for you well.
Hmm.
Apart from that, I think it's also important to see what are the ethical considerations that you need to look at.
Hmm.
Using that is one, but you also need to look at from that perspective. So again, we'll go back and saying what's the compliance that we have within our own organizations to use it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So yes, but use it to your advantage. It's not going to take away your job. It's actually going to help you do your job better. That's where I come from. But
Great.
some
Thanks.
things, some things don't go away. Your connection with your employees, the employee connects that you have, that AI can't do, that we have to do.
Very profound. I totally agree with you. Thanks, Aparna. We are now going to open the floor for questions. We already have received quite a few questions in text format, right? But if anyone wants to ask a question, we can unmute them. All you have to do is to raise your hand. You'll find that icon at the top center of your Teams console, and we'll unmute you. Okay. Uh, no prompts as of now. So, but we have quite a few questions in the chat box. So let's go with that. This is from Rachel Joseph. How do we calculate the ROI of investing in HR technology? And any of the panelists can take that up. How do we calculate the ROI of investing in HR technology? I know it's a very commonly asked question, but that's where I think the needle gets stuck, right? The HR leadership doesn't get the investment they need from the top management. So, how should HRs approach this topic? How should they defend it when it comes to, calculating the ROI?
Pulkit,
Yeah,
I'll take this one.
sure,
We'll
please.
go
Thank
back
you.
to the first question which we answered. Okay. Define the why. with the leadership. Why are you getting the software in the first place? When you sit together with your leadership team and define the why, you will automatically get the measurable outcomes which need to be there. This is why we are getting the tool. These are the key objectives of the tool, and this is how we will measure whether this objective has been met or not. So it could be, I want to reduce attrition. One possible thing, I want to improve my employee engagement scores, could be one other metric. I want to reduce the amount of time my employee is spending for doing HR related activities, could be one more metric. I want to reduce the time HR is spending on the tasks which they are doing by automating it, so that I want to improve the efficiency of the HR team, could be another metric. I want to provide nice career paths within the system, which employee can explore on their own, and hence, increase my internal mobility score. So, there could be various ways to look at metrics which will help you derive the value of HR solution which you are going to take up. When you decide right up front, when you're doing the why you are taking the software, and you agree to it with your leadership team, that these are the metrics which will drive, that will actually help you in presenting it back to them at the end of a 1 year period, of a 2 year period, for what you sign up for your tool, right? Whether these metrics are there, and then you review them quarterly, and you see where the adoption is low or high, or where things have not gone right, so that you are on track to derive the value out of it.
Great. Thanks, Vishal. We have one more question from Sayan Sen Gupta. He says, in the manufacturing industry, many people are not very tech savvy, and it is very hard to make them use HR tech properly. How to find a solution to this thing?
Yeah, if you allow me, I would like to take that because
Please.
that is we are close to the manufacturing industry. We are from automation and engineering. So one thing is what I feel that this is a myth, what we are thinking. Because if we look at it, like when I interact with the engineers from the design team, or the machine intelligence people, or if I go and connect with my blue collar workers with hardly like say ITI 10 12th, and they are working on the shop floor for last like 15-20 years, who have not seen any tech, but like thanks to the digitalization which has happened in our country, and the way government pushed it, now you will have people are you give them apps, and they use it so easily. Just that you need to take efforts to ensure that you are making them aware that how it needs to be done. Because these are the even workers, when we tried implementing the app for our mediclaim facility, and also for the wellness, where doctor consultations, and you can take it through the video call, and you can actually go and book the calls with the doctors, and you can take that benefit. They are doing it so easily that you sometimes it becomes difficult to explain to the engineers that this is how you should use the app. But when we talk to these people, it is very easy. What the major thing or the effort which needs to go from the HR team when you are introducing these technologies, that you need to make sure that you need to make them aware that this is how this technology is going to help you. You will be less dependent on somebody where like going to HR and asking again and again. They have to do that job to ensure that they'll find somebody's time, and then somebody will explain them, or do things for them. Rather than you are giving them, you are empowering them that they don't have to be dependent on somebody. And technology is already there in their hand. The kind of mobiles what you we have nowadays, they can actually solve the purpose. When you are introducing technology, just ensure that the technology is not remaining on the laptops. It is you are going through the apps, and app and your web um, say systems are communicating seamlessly, so that people don't have, because everybody is not having a desktop or laptop in manufacturing. That creates a problem when we are implementing. But if it like the apps are pretty strong, then it becomes very easy and people would like to do that. Just that we have to ensure that you are spending some time to teach them. And if you have an apps which comes in local language, if at least in say Marathi or Hindi or in some local languages, if like many of the apps are they are giving that kind of an facility, that will be helpful and the reach becomes very easy. So that way you can actually solve that problem.
Okay, thank you. The other question is very interesting, and this is about employee experience, right? So, Shruti Rao is asking a question: does this impact employee experience, but does it also impact employee retention as well?
I'll take this question. See, employee retention and experience is not solely depend on HR tech platform. Because platform or technology is a technology. Okay, you can't let go the human touch, the the way you work, the way you manage the people function. That is very critical. HR tech is an enabler. If I have to put it very simple way, it's an enabling tool or it's a software enabling enabler which will help you to scale, which will help you to engage, which will help you to retain, which will help you to ensure that you are constantly in touch. You can have multiple things, right? Pulse and all of that, which can also help you to gauge people. There are early warning systems and a lot of software, AI enabled tool there. It will also always, technology will always help you to understand the crust, the areas of concern where you need to dig and try to provide solution. Solution has to be come from you,
Hmm.
right? That there's again a famous saying that if you sit in a cabin, then you're probably not managing people. So if you have to sit with the people to manage people, right? And
Hmm.
probably we are all sitting on cabin, but there are people who are managing people function there, taking responsibility and the owners of it. That's the beauty. So while we are leveraging and empowering technology, human touch is always very, very critical. We cannot let that go. Yeah, so that's my takeaway. Other
Okay.
speakers can add their points. Yeah.
Okay. So we have one question from, I think someone has finally raised their hand. I think it's Tamanna Verma. We can unmute Tamanna and she can ask the question. Tamanna, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My question is bit off topic, but as we have so many HR leaders with us today, and thank you, everyone. It was a very amazing and informative session. So, being an HR leader, I have a question. I also got it from someone, although I have a thinking about it. So, my question is that apart from appraisals, like if some employees complete 1 year with the organization, apart from the appraisals, if we are talking about the technology, trainings, and all of those things, apart from appraisal, what can we give the employees to, retain them if they are not happy with the appraisals? Anyone,
Okay,
who can answer this?
I'll take this. Okay, it's very
Okay.
simple. The answer for you is, with all my years of experience, I'll tell you, money is one of the least things which an employee worries about.
Hmm.
And it is not the primary reason why a person chooses to decide to leave.
Okay.
Okay. There are so many other factors, okay, which
Yes,
are at
right.
play, right? So what can you give apart from appraisals, right? Are you
Right.
taking care of the employee's overall well-being? When I say overall well-being, it is physical, mental. Are you taking care of their career in other ways? Are you giving them opportunities to learn, right?
Right.
And grow their career in a way which they want. So there's something which we call as a career aspiration dialogue, which we have with the
Right.
employee.
Right.
Try to figure out
Yeah.
what they want to do in life. Ask them two, three things which they would want to do
Hmm.
next in their career. If you can align their career journey towards any one of those by giving them additional learning, coaching, and mentoring to go towards that role. Okay,
Right.
you already have that employee retained for the next 2, 3 years because they know the organization is invested in me and I am invested in the organization. Right. The second thing, a lot of what we can do is, we forget that we have to focus on the basics, of the culture of the organization. Employees leave
Right.
managers.
Right.
If managers are not taught how to take care of the employees properly, then the employee will leave. Whether you give a good appraisal or bad, if I'm not
Right.
happy at my work overall, right? So are you
Right.
providing the right environment? Are you providing them uh, things which keep them engaged and happy at work? So everything which HR does, which is your employee engagement, your activities which happen, the training, learning, development, all of that together, comes to that. So if you're facing a problem where, people are linking everything to appraisals, right?
Yeah.
Then a good thing is to communicate back to the employees that
Right.
appraisal is just one part of your journey in the organization. We are here for the long run and we will take care of your career in the long run. So have development programs which are not linked to appraisal. Okay, give them
Right.
feedback
Right.
middle of the year and de-link things from appraisal. Some organizations still have annual appraisals. Okay, and people think
Yeah.
that
Right.
everything is dependent on the one appraisal. Move away from it. Okay, don't do promotion during appraisal. Say whenever a vacancy opens up, we will only do internal job postings. Whoever wants to apply and thinks they are eligible, you can apply. We'll give you that chance. So you are delinking a lot of things and taking the employee's mind away that appraisal means everything. If you give them the holistic picture and do
Mhm.
things for them which keep them engaged throughout the year, then automatically you would have answered your question.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very nice answer. I was looking forward to. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Pulkit, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. No, I was about to say that I don't see any hands raised, so we can um, end the session here, right? Although we would have wanted to go on and on, but it's been an amazing session, right? I myself learned a lot. I did take my notes. Thanks to all the incredible panelists, Prasanjeet, Aparna, Vishal, and Shailesh, from all of us here at HR1, for sharing your insights and wisdom. And to all the attendees, thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to connect with us on HR1 Commune to stay updated on updated sessions, upcoming events, and much more, right? You'll find the link to register in the community in the chat box. We look forward to seeing you again. Until then, take care and have a great day ahead. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
Bye bye.
having us here today, Pulkit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Wonderful panel.
Bye.
Thank you.